This is my video for the Rio Black Rifle match held December 4th, 2021. The shooter starts outside the helicopter with the rifle loaded on the deck of the helicopter facing downrange. After entering, they engage 3 steel targets at about 200 to 300 yards from the rear window. They then move forward to the front and engage 4 targets at around 300 yards. I'm using a 16-inch civil defense rifle with 55 grain ammunition and a US Optics 1:6 scope. The scope is set on 4 power for this stage. From the rear window, I'm just using the vertical as a support. I don't have any other points of contact. This front position is very left-hander friendly. I'm able to get multiple points of support off the window frame and the seat next to me. I shoot the targets in a U pattern going left to right because I can always see the next target in my field of view. I'm first stealth and first overall on this stage, giving me 100 match points. On this stage, there are targets from about 60 yards all the way out to about 400 yards. I opt to support off the left side of the tank trap because it gives me the widest range of motion and most support. The engagement sequence does require pivoting back and forth across a pretty wide arc. From this first position, I have to engage the targets nearest to furthest. From the second position, I have to engage the targets from furthest to closest. For this stage, I'm running the scope dialed all the way up to 6. While it is a bit too much for the closer targets, I didn't want to have to dial it down and up during the course of fire. On this stage, I am second in stealth and second overall with 97.84% of the winner's score. On this stage, the shooter must engage T1 and T2 and the hanging plates off their strong side shoulder, then conduct a mandatory reload, switch shoulders, and engage T3, T4, and the hanging plates again. On this stage, I'm using the scope at 1 power. I first engage the 2 mini IPSC paper silhouettes, and then shoot the hanging steel. Note, when I am shooting left-handed, I shoot left to right whenever possible. When I'm shooting right-handed, I'll shoot right to left whenever possible. Shooting off my right shoulder, I notice that the reticle is slightly blurred. Doesn't surprise me that I would need a bit of a different focus for my right eye because it has a different prescription than my left eye, but I do have to focus harder on the reticle to make the hits off my right shoulder. I am first in stealth division, giving me 100 match points in my division, and I am 4th overall with 94.8% of the winner's score. On this stage, we have 2 static steel at 50 yards from the first position, standing offhand, 5 paper targets from the center position, and then 2 targets at about 200 to 250 yards that must be engaged through or over the blue barricade. I start the stage with my scope set on 1 power to engage the 50-yard targets, then move to the center shooting area, and I engage all 5 targets from where I can see them in one spot. It is also an option to shoot those on the move. As I move forward, I dial up to 5 power. When I collapsed in position here, I should have used reverse kneeling to get more stable. Ultimately, I send 2 extra shots to get the 2 hits. When you're watching these stages, something to keep in mind is there is simply nothing faster than first round hits. Every extra shot required, because of the time to stabilize and reset, adds a second to a second and a half to your time. I'm 4th in stealth division and 7th overall in this stage with 84.56% of the winner's score. Because a stealth division shooter won overall on this stage, that would mean that percentage would also translate to my division match points as well. This is a steel challenge style stage, meaning there's 3 strings with 5 hits required per string. The shooter has to get the 4 static plates and then finish on the center circle that's hanging in the middle. For consistency in start position, the shooter begins with the barrel of their rifle touching the cone. My first string ends up being my fastest time because I only had 1 miss. My subsequent strings get worse because I'm pushing on speed, but I actually end up missing more.
7.44. Are you ready? Stand by. 8 8.71.
I'm 5th in Stealth Division on the stage with 90.91% of the winner's score. Overall, I am 13th with 78.48% of the overall winner's score. In the end, I'm first out of 23 shooters in Stealth Division with 473.31 points out of 500 possible. Overall, I'm first out of 64 shooters with 455.68 points out of 500 possible. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.